Welcome back to The Stars Are Hollow. When we last left them, Marie had torn her family from the life they knew and hurled them into the night. The message still echoing in her chest, the unknown pressing from every side. She chose to run, but running has a gravity of its own. Tonight, the road itself seems to breathe. The hum no longer whispers, it invades, and the choices she thought were hers begin to dissolve into the violet light. This is Chapter 4, The Pull. The desert stretched endlessly, its surface shimmering beneath fractured moonlight. The road, if it could even be called that anymore, wound through the landscape in a way that made no sense. Angles too sharp, turns too fluid, as though something beneath was shifting. Marie kept her hands on the wheel, her grip firm but no longer defiant. The hum wasn't just around her now, it was inside her, a presence threading through her ribs, settling into her bones. It no longer needed to coax her forward, it had already won. She checked the rearview mirror. Amy sat still, her fingers loosely laced in her lap. She wasn't looking at the road anymore. She wasn't looking at anything. Her gaze was distant, listening. Beside her, Sally curled under the blanket, her eyes open but unfocused, her small breaths slow and measured. Marie exhaled through her nose, keeping her voice steady. "Baby, are you okay?" Amy blinked slowly, as if pulling herself back from something far away. "Yes." Marie swallowed. The way that she said it, soft, unconcerned, not reassuring so much as indifferent, unsettled her more than fear would have. She pressed on. "Are you scared?" Amy hesitated. Her fingers twitched against her lap, like she was reaching for something unseen. Then, without looking at Marie, she said, "No, we're not alone." Marie felt a sharp, involuntary chill at the way that she said, "we." Sally shifted under her blanket, her voice muffled. "He's outside." Marie's stomach clenched. "Who's outside, sweetheart?" Sally didn't answer. She only curled tighter into herself. Marie looked back at the road. She didn't ask again. She wasn't sure she wanted to hear whatever came next. The car hummed along, the vibration low and steady beneath her hands. The road ahead darkened, slick and glass-like, the pavement giving way to something else, something smooth and unnatural. Beneath it, veins pulsed dimly, violent light pushed through the cracks of the earth, like something immense was breathing beneath them. Marie barely reacted. The shock had dulled. She understood now. This is happening. This has already happened. She'd tried to resist earlier. She'd yanked the wheel, forcing the tyres onto the packed earth along the roadside, only for the car to float, weightless, her body twisting with nausea as gravity momentarily lost interest in her, and then, without realizing, she'd righted herself, hands returning to the wheel, the car slipped seamlessly back onto the path it had chosen for her. There was no fighting this. She wasn't being guided anymore. She was being delivered. Marie exhaled, rolling her shoulders to ease the tightness creeping into them. The exhaustion had settled deep now, not just in her limbs, but in her thoughts. Everything was dull at the edges, like her mind was being wrapped in gauze. The hum in the air grew heavier, pressing against her skull. A small noise ticked in the silence, metal shifting, sealing. A sharp, bright note, like overheated steel meeting its match. Marie frowned, barely processing it before the car went silent. The dashboard flickered weakly, then darkness. The hum of the tyres faded, swallowed whole, the headlights cut out, the wheel locked beneath her hands. The car had not stalled. It had not sputtered or fought to stay alive. It had simply ceased to be a car at all. A beat of silence, then something inside Marie snapped. She slammed at the wheel with both hands, her breath shuddering out of her. Damn it! The sound of her voice startled her. It had been too long since she'd reacted to anything, since she'd allowed herself to be human. But the moment passed as quickly as it came. The frustration burned out, leaving only that quiet, inescapable pull. The feeling that none of this had ever been up to her. Behind her, Sally whimpered, "Mummy?" Marie closed her eyes, steadied her breath. "It's okay," she said, though the words felt empty in her mouth. "We're out of gas. We'll keep going on foot." Sally curled deeper into herself, shaking her head. "Don't wanna." Marie reached back, smoothing her fingers over her hair. "I know, baby, but we have to." Amy unbuckled her seatbelt in a slow, mechanical motion. "He's waiting for us," she said quietly. Marie hesitated. "Who is?" Amy turned to her, her expression unreadable. "You already know." A dull ache formed at the base of Marie's skull. She didn't ask again. She climbed out. The air was cold against her skin, but beneath it, something else pulsed. An unnatural warmth, humming, just beyond reach. And the hum. God, the hum. It was no longer just a sound. It coloured the edges of her vision, turning the dark sky an aching shade of violet. It thickened the air in her lungs, as though breathing was no longer simply an act of muscle and instinct, but something she had to fight for. Her thoughts blurred, words slipping loose inside her mind before she could hold on to them. When she reached for Sally's hand, the sensation was strange, like the movement itself had a taste, like static against her tongue. Amy stumbled. Marie caught her, steadying her. "You're okay," she murmured, though her own legs felt weak. "Just a little further." Amy nodded absently, her hand squeezing Marie's just a little too tight. Sally pressed closer to Marie's side. "I don't like him," she whispered. Marie swallowed. "Who, baby?" Sally hesitated, her little fingers digging into Marie's arm. Then in the smallest voice, she said, "The man under the sand." Marie's breath caught. She kept walking. The path wound upwards, jagged rock formations rising like twisted ribs, their skeletal forms leaning inward, as though they were watching, waiting. Then she saw it. The compound sprawled beneath them, bathed in a cold surgical glow, slicing through the darkness like an open wound. Chain link fences stretched endlessly, topped with razor wire that gleamed beneath the floodlights. But at the centre, something else waited. It was not a building. It had been grown. Its surface rippled, folding in on itself, caught between one form and another, as though it was trying to decide what to become. The closer Marie looked, the more her stomach twisted. Her eyes ached. The space around it seemed to shift, like bending in ways it shouldn't, colours pressing at the edge of her vision that didn't belong. Amy whispered, voice trembling, "What is that?" Marie's mouth was dry. "It's where we're supposed to go." The words didn't feel like her own, because maybe they weren't. Maybe they'd been spoken before, 100 times, 1,000, on different roads, in different worlds, by different voices that had always belonged to her. Maybe there had never been another path. She curled her fingers tightly around her daughter's hands. The hum in the air was unbearable now, reverberating in her bones, pressing into the spaces between her thoughts. Something was waiting for them inside, and she'd been walking towards it since the moment she was born. Marie took a step forward, then another. As she led her daughters down the ridge towards the compound, she could not escape the truth that settled like iron in her chest. She had never been free. She had only ever been following the path laid out before her. You've been listening to The Stars Are Hollow. Marie has reached the threshold, the place she was always meant to find. The compound waits, shifting, alive. Its walls groan instead of built, and inside, something is calling. In Chapter 5, the veil will thin further, and what was only whispered at the edges of her perception will begin to take form. If you felt the pull tonight, let us know. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share the series with those who can bear the weight of its silence. Until next time, keep your eyes on the road. The hum is never far behind.
Shadows keep you roll.